Bruce, we're back, baby. We're back.
Ron, it's like we never left.
It's like we never left. That's right. I'm sorry I did leave. I'm sorry I left you, Bruce, for a little bit. My head was surgically inserted in my ass. And then I made my way out eventually. So I'm very excited to be back with you, my ridiculously good looking friend. How have you been?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Holding on the fort, but yeah, just waiting for, I guess, the opportune time and opportune topic. You know, we always have these sort of pet topics that we like to kind of get in, and we're inching up on one really soon. So it was like, okay, this is probably a good time as any to reunite, have another discussion. And we want to welcome all our viewers once again. Those of you who stuck with us and coming back, we thank you for doing so.
Yeah, and thank you for people that sent like posts in and like wrote in being like, where are you guys? We want you guys back. So like, thank you. I feel honored to be back.
Yeah, shout out to our buddy Michael Nolan, who's also a particular fan of yours, Ron. Doesn't get enough Ron in the mix, so he wants some solo, Ron. He wants you to go solo.
I know, but I gotta tell you, I've been doing therapy, like I have a coach, because like my business was kind of tight. I was going through a lot of stress this summer, and so like I'm not funny anymore. I feel, I mean, some viewers might go anymore, like. I don't remember you funny in the first place, but I perform. I do a comedy show. I have not performed in months. So I hope I don't disappoint. Like I'll try to bring it, Mike. I'll try to bring it, buddy. But whatever. This is a juicy topic, though. I think it's gonna be okay. It'll be okay.
Oh yeah, for sure. This will be easy landing for you, Ron.
Apparently, my friend Cobra Kai never dies, and it never does. Here we are.
Well, we're gonna see about that too.
I think I did see about it when I saw the trailer. All right, here we go. Season 5 trailer. What'd you think? Did it grab you in the feels? What did it do for you, my friend?
Yeah, I mean, there's good stuff in there, right? I mean, we're getting a lot of good teases, and probably like past seasons, some of the best stuff is probably kept hidden. I think the writers and the showrunners and all that have done a good job of, in the past, not showing all their cards. So I'm sure there's a lot of good stuff. I think the idea of us getting Silver as our big bad once again, like, he was kind of in ascendancy, character in transition. They were easing him back in, much like they did with Kreese and, the end of season 1. Yeah. So this will be cool to actually see him full Silver this season. You've got Chosen in a more prominent role, so that's going to be exciting. You see teases of him and Johnny potentially working together. I feel like in some ways this is almost going to be like their Empire Strikes Back season, because you have, I think, divergent stories that you're going to take the main characters in different places and then have like the big finale at the end. But I don't know if you felt this way too. I kind of felt like too, like, could this, and we'll discuss this as we get further into it, but could this be the jump the shark season as well? Because this be the season where they're a little too comfortable, a little too fat, and do we kind of go off the rails? Can we still keep it together till whatever the end game is? What do you think?
Yeah, I think like I have a lot of thoughts on this, and I just watched it before we got on. I just watched it again before we got on. Like, I love this world. I love these characters. Like, to get to hang out with them again, awesome, right? Like, I'm all in. Like, I'm gonna binge the shit out of it. Let's be real,
Yeah.
Right, like, because they don't with Cobra Kai. I don't remember if they did this last season. They don't do one episode at a time. They put the whole thing out, right?
Whole thing out.
Yeah. So like I binge it like popcorn. Like it's all like sorry, but like I binge it. Okay. And again, it's a nice, what is it, like 5 hours to sit with your friends and people that you love, right? I think that it is jumping the shark though. Just watching the trailer again, I think it's the same premise as every other season. You see Miguel and Robbie fighting again. It just feels like okay, there's a big bad who's taken over the valley, and it's like I don't care about the valley anymore.
Yeah.
And I think and then the catch is, God, like this might be sacrilegious, but like I always loved Darth Vader, like as a kid. Like I always loved him. Like I didn't think of him as the worst villain ever. If I saw him, like we just saw him in Obi-Wan, I'd be like, dude, that guy's vicious, right? Like in the OT, he's just awesome. Like he's just fucking great, right? Um, Kreese to me was almost, I always, like as a kid, I was so intimidated by Kreese that to me, I had a more of a visceral response to Kreese than I did to Darth Vader. So I apologize if that's offensive to anyone. That so like to me, like the emerging of Kreese in season 2 and 3, like that to me is awesome, right? We get rid of Kreese. I love Terry Silver. Terry Silver is one of my favorite like mustache twirling villains ever, but like I don't take him seriously because I like him so much.
Yeah.
To me, it's not a real threat. It doesn't feel like a threat. And now it's like, well, he has the money, is and like, what is he really doing that's that bad? You know, like he like right, like a lot of those, like the reality is,
He's spreading Cobra Kai, dude. Isn't that enough?
yeah, but he's spreading Cobra Kai. Okay, so the top five like Cobra, like the top five, just like in the original, the top five Cobra Kai, like they're assholes. They're but are they? I mean, you never see them in the original movie picking on anyone else.
Right.
They're kind of popular. Like they're like good looking California guys. Like they're just like chilling. Like nobody has a problem with them. Or Allie has a problem with them. But no one else is like, ooh, those jerks. We hate them. Like at the arcade place, like the girls go with them, like, oh hey
Right.
guys, let's get in the car. Come on, Allie, are you coming? Like they're not like terrible. Daniel is a jerk, like we keep coming back to that piece. So the point is that like, yes, the top five start trouble, like they start trouble with Daniel's kids and everything. But like, and they look dangerous. Like Tori looks dangerous, right? Like she could kill someone. But I just feel like the rest of them are the rest of the kids are just like opting in to get to get exercise. I don't think what I mean? Like it has to trickle down. Like Terry Silver's not teaching 5 days a week or 6 days a week or
Sure.
7 days a week every class. So he's employing people. Like, right? Like I just don't think it's that bad. Because what parent would send their kid to like an abusive, if there's that many students, what parent is sending their kids to be abused?
Right. Right.
I just don't buy it from a business perspective. So it doesn't feel like, I don't feel like the excitement, like it was cool in the last season to watch him try to be a good guy. Like that's cool, right?
Yeah, the conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And how quickly at the end he sells out John Kreese. Like, yeah, right. Like, and I think Kreese is just such an awful person. And
Yeah.
we know why. And we know why he has trauma. Like, that's interesting. But this season, just looking like Chosen, who
Yeah.
cares about
Well,
Chosen? I don't care about Chosen.
here's the danger that the show's falling into, which any show that runs too long falls into.
Yeah.
If it's not a movie, you're not getting a resolution. You're not getting a climax. So you have to keep artificially creating. I would love to know what the original plan for this show was, whether it was 3 seasons, 4 seasons. Was it indeed 6 seasons? Was it supposed to end sooner and just, it exploded on Netflix? So all of a sudden you got to keep kind of stretching it out, and how much further that is becoming an issue, because the show now is feeling more, and it always did, but it's becoming soap opera in nature.
Right.
And in the sense with soap opera, you have to keep breaking up couples, putting them together. It's like you're not resolving anything at any point. You're just kind of keeping pieces kind of floating, and it's just like a shell game, right?
Yeah.
And that's the danger of a show that runs too long, as opposed to like a Breaking Bad, where it was like whatever, the 5-6 seasons. You got a compact story within that. You got a definite resolution, a satisfying conclusion to that. They wrap it up. It doesn't run, way past its, sell by date. So,
in contrast, it's such a great point you're making, because I'm like, the one show that I ever like really stuck with was Smallville. Obviously, I'm obsessed with Superman, but like, and they were so smart. Now, like, I would say season 6 or 7 through 10 were I don't know that I watched every episode by that point. Season 10, I watched every episode, but like those middle seasons, I was like, okay, like we're stretching this. But they made it to season 10 because they had one premise where it was like, no flights, no tights. That was their like mantra. And the last 5 minutes, you see him like not even in the full costume. Like you see like an animated version of it, and then he like rips the thing. But that tension was interesting. So again, it held the tension. I don't this season, this trailer does not look like it has tension. And we've been burned too many times with legacy characters at this point in our lives. So it's like, I wish that I could offhand just be like, well, what's a new show that's working, but I can't say that because everything on Marvel is all still, suckling at the teat of phase one. Right?
Yeah, right.
And so it's like, I don't know what's a new show that I'm like obsessed with.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be hard to name one, right? Because even the ones that we were kind of looking forward to, they didn't quite deliver the way we expected. The stuff that ended up delivering were some of the movies, that we saw, obviously like Top Gun, which kind of has a little bit of a, relation to this in the sense of kind of like the first few seasons of Cobra Kai, bringing back successfully legacy characters and things like that. But again, with Top Gun, provided they don't, milk that and start going for the even more sequels down the line, you got a resolution, so you're satisfied. It's like, okay, we're happy with where that character ended up. It feels full circle. We don't ever have to see it again. And with this, again, I feel like the more seasons they go, you're just going to tire of the premise because you have to keep this conflict going, and it's this tone of the conflict is pretty much going to be the same. So it's only so many variations of a theme like this that you can do.
I don't know if this is gonna happen, but like something that I've been worried about is like his Daniel's wife divorcing him, right?
Yeah,
because he's a mess, right? Like he left it, like they have a family business that's huge, and he left it to go do this karate. Like that's not a healthy choice either, right? Like
that didn't strike you as a responsible adult thing to do, to leave your multi-million-dollar dealership kind of on the side while you go pursue karate with teenagers.
And why
chase your youth?
But like, why he wasn't pursuing karate with teenagers for an altruistic reason. He was doing it for revenge.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And then he pairs up with Johnny. They pair up, they fight, they go back and forth. Like I'm sure they're gonna come up with a cool way to like get them back together again. But like, it's soap opera, just like you said. How many times are they gonna break up? Now, if Daniel has he has no consequences. So every time for 5 years, Cobra Kai is like ruling the valley. Cobra Kai is expanding and getting bigger. Well, they were doing that from the get-go. Like,
yeah,
that's not a threat to me, and it's not a threat to Daniel either. And I think Ralph Macchio seems like a good guy, like in life, but God, like Daniel just gets jerkier and jerkier. Like he seems such a douche.
I know. It's funny because there are parts in the past seasons where you think like, okay, there's kind of some growth moments for him, and then he kind of reverts back to like, that teenage version of himself that we didn't like, in the first couple of films. So, I mean, having said that, so you're not looking forward to Chosen. Mike Barnes, I mean, is there anything that you actually want to see, or what would you like to actually see them do?
I'll tell you what I'd like to see them do. The Johnny Show. Like Johnny
just do a Johnny focused spinoff.
100%. Johnny was in the past 4 seasons. Johnny was the most interesting character. He had the most to lose. He had the most growth happening. Right? He becomes a completely different person. He's interesting.
Yeah.
Like have him move to somewhere else, and start like a plumbing business or something, or have him start a karate school. But like I just don't. I don't see that either of these characters, Johnny or like the premise originally was that Johnny was dealt a shitty hand, right? That was the premise. That's cool. Like that's an interesting premise. But now I can't help but feel like the only people that are passionate about teaching are John Kreese and Terry Silver.
Yeah.
Right? Like Johnny's not passionate about really teaching. He learns to be passionate, but like his drive was like, why? I don't remember even in season 1. Why did he start the studio?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to remember, right? Because it was he got into that fight with those kids, and it's kind of down and out. And I think somebody came across the money, and I guess started getting his mojo back, and decided that's what he wanted to do. I forget what the initial the spark of that was, and taking on that one mentor, obviously, when he first met Miguel and stuff, but yeah, I forget.
Right. But it's like, okay, it's good. I think, yeah, to help Miguel, but also it was like, I think because he's like, that's where I knew where I belong, right? So I'll
Yeah.
create it. But he was
That's who
never.
I am at my core. Yeah. Lost myself. This is kind of who I really am.
But what we're seeing is he was never a leader. Like he was like the team captain, but he was never like, he's not like, he can't have a studio by himself, right?
Right.
Daniel leaves his successful business and and every time he has an emotional response to something, he freaks out and destroys everything in his life, and no one cares, it's fine. Whereas John Kreese, like, knows how to start a business. Like, John Kreese had nothing; he was homeless, and from there he like builds up the thing. Terry Silver, of course, like legit businessman, comes in and just goes like, okay, I see an opportunity. I'm gonna teach the way that I think it should be taught, whether it's good or bad. But again, like, you think about how many parents are paying him to teach their kids.
Right.
Like, it's a very real story. Like, it's legit, because it's like, I know so many there's my kid did karate last year, and like I loved her studio, but like there's other ones that were super salesy, and I was like, I'm like, Cobra Kai. But John Kreese had a passion to teach. He like, it's so clear. You see it in the
Well,
films, too.
yeah, it's coming from a place of conviction, and that's what the Cobra Kai side kind of has in its favor. Is that, right or wrong, they have the conviction, and really the motivating force for Miyagi-Do and Eco-Claw and all that stuff is really just to combat that, rather than just, I mean, I guess they have their own philosophies and stuff, but
it's defense. It's self-defense, right? It's not like they're not initiating. They're always like, "Wah!" They started it, but they don't walk away. Like, what did Mr. Miyagi say? Like, he's like, the best defense is to get the fuck out of there.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a direct quote, but
right,
yeah,
it's not a direct quote, but it's anyway. So okay, you have more questions, though. I'm sorry, I'm very passionate.
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking. Okay, so at this point, what are they left with, right? Unless they start deepening the mythology somehow, right? Which they did that to a successful degree, throughout the first few seasons. I thought they did a good job of expanding out the mythology a little bit, doing backstories and things like that. So, I mean, they have to, I guess, do that. And I think the introduction of certain characters might hint at that. I don't know if that'll be kind of enough to help. With Barnes, is he someone's dad? Is he not? Whose side is he going to end up on? Is that going to be significant? We have those things in favor. And I guess the other thing, too, is we have season 5. Is season 6 going to be the capper? Because it should be. And I think the season 6, what it should be is just bring back Hilary Swank.
Yep.
Have that one last big character, that one last card to play. Bring her in, have it be a meaningful part. But for God's sake, wrap this thing up, next season. Because obviously this season, I don't think that's what the point of it is to wrap it up in any way. I think they were signed up for another season or two. So
yeah, I understand.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think with that? I mean, should it end season 6? You're
Definitely,
probably thinking it should end now.
I mean, yeah, I would say call it quits now. Like 5 seasons, like that's solid.
While you're ahead.
Yeah, quit while you're ahead. Like, find a good ending. And the ending is something like that, like something of like Mr. Miyagi's legacy, where like long lost child that, or like a family member or something that, or somehow, or it's like kung fu, where we like see like where it takes place like hundreds of years earlier. Like I think they were talking about that at one point, right? Like a Okinawa, like a Miyagi prequel.
I always thought that they needed to do that backstory. I mean, I know it's harder because you can't continue it, and I know the purpose of the Kreese one is like, okay, they still have Kreese now and they can continue it. Yeah. But I always felt like if you wanted to at least have an interesting episode, mixed within there, is to go back and do the young Miyagi story and tie it in somehow, make it relevant to that. So I think, to your point, if they did that,
yeah,
it'd be a perfect opportunity to do that.
Yeah, because like I think that's where it's at, because that's like something we haven't done yet, and that's so different. There's like a period piece to it, and he lived a very interesting life, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, there's a lot you can touch on, and you can also change the look of the show a little bit too, you know, and a different setting and all that stuff. Also, I mean, they have a budget now, so it's like spend some of that budget, do a little bit more exotic, location shooting and things like that. But yeah, go back and tell that story, and I think that's what I'm thinking about. If you're going to deepen the mythology, go back, deepen that piece of it a little bit, tie it in somehow to now, wrap it up with, Hilary Swank's character. Julia, is that what she was called? Yeah. Give her a satisfying story. Maybe they have that arc be part of what wraps this whole thing up. And
Yeah.
then what you do is you retire the legacy characters, if and they're gonna want to keep this thing going. Then you do your spin-offs with your teens and
Yeah.
kind of let them do their young adventures and whatever else they're gonna do. But I think it's time to retire these legacy characters soon.
Cause what? Cause I'm thinking like if Johnny started his own studio in Phoenix, like or whatever, right? Like what? Who cares about it's not like it's not like the valley. It's not like property values are going to go down because Terry Silver has a very successful karate studio.
Yeah, but more important, you're missing the whole point, Ryan. It's not about property value. It's about the soul of the valley. The soul.
Yeah, well, Mr. Miyagi was never the soul of the valley, you know? Like he didn't care. He sold bonsai trees. Like that's what he cared about. He wasn't in it. He never started a school.
Right.
He befriended a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
See, I'm gonna get flack for saying that, you know?
Well,
Like, it was a different time.
Different time, exactly. Different time, different place.
Actually, before someone hates me for saying that, when I was 19, I had a mentor who was 60, and I'd hang out with him a lot. Like, so yeah, I'm all about that. Like, I get it. Like, we'd have like my college experience could be summed up by like having breakfast at Baker Square on Saturdays with him, my teacher Patrick. So like he was like used to be he was a Broadway music director and conductor and stuff, and he taught me everything about the business. Yeah, so I take it back. That was like a snarky comment. They're like, no, I'm all about it. Anyway, the point is that yeah, bring Miyagi into the fold somehow, like young Miyagi story. But again, set up that Miyagi never cared about like expansion and opening up a school. Daniel is capitalistic, which is cool. No judgment. He saw an opportunity, but like he didn't like again, it doesn't seem that he's genuinely passionate about teaching, like to this
No,
extent.
it's all like the same. He's on the same mission that he was with season one, which was to end Cobra Kai.
Right. That's it.
That's
not
it.
an
Because of his arrogance, my way is the only way kind of thing. And that was
Yeah.
another thing that he should have learned from in last season, because they got their asses handed to them. So that should have been like the takeaway is like, okay, I was stubborn and this is kind of why we ended up where we did.
Yeah.
Instead of blending the styles like you should have with Johnny and let the students kind of do their thing from the get-go and integrating that stuff. So but look at us, how pissy and invested we still are in these this
That's true.
fictional teenage drama.
But we're not notice that we're not talking about the teenagers. And I think the teenagers are actually the best written characters on the show. Like,
well, a lot of people would argue that because it depends where what angle you're coming to it from. I can imagine that a lot of teens love those characters, and I think if I was a teen, I'd be most invested in that. I think all the adults from the past are kind of like, oh, this is a bit too teeny. I wish they would focus more on this. So, it's like a little bit of that divide, So I guess it just kind of depends. Some of them are well-written characters. I think some of the martial arts drama scenes, some of them are well done. Some of them are a little too over the top or whatever.
Like it looks like they could die.
It's always a bit mixed bag with the teen stuff, because some of that I've sat through and I'm like, oh, obviously if they didn't have the lore of the legacy characters, I find myself watching a karate show, teenage drama, probably not. So
we like some of those fight scenes though, they are like so much more elaborate than back when the first three movies, where I'm like, someone could die. Like someone could die there. Like that's insane.
Yeah. And they're like legit trying to kill each other and stuff. It's like, come on.
Yeah, like that's really awkward. Like, like when they had that fight in the LaRusso home.
Yeah. And no consequences for that, of course, either,
But
and you come back
glass.
You come back the next season, the house is like immaculate again.
Yeah. But I will say, like, Samantha, and that's the daughter, right? Sam?
I believe so, yeah.
Sam and Miguel, I think, are very interesting characters.
Yeah, and I guess with the Miguel, we should be getting some kind of payoff to that story and, finding out what the backstory with the dad is and, identity and all that stuff. So that should be interesting. Tori, having come off of she's another, I think she's probably, for me, the most interesting teen character. Yeah. Because she's got that spark, she got the fire, but got the compassion as well. I think the actress who's playing her is doing a really good job with that character. and they've given her a good arc, you know.
I
And so
forgot
now
about
coming,
Tori.
yeah, so coming into this season,
You know that
whether
she's someone's daughter, though.
what's that? Yes, and
She's
that's the
someone's.
thing. So I mean, is the payoff? Is she Swank's daughter? Is she Mike Barnes' daughter? Is she none of their daughters? You know, none of the above. Is, you know, who's Miguel's dad? Is that Mike Barnes? You know, so we don't know, but at least with Tori, they're leading into some kind of interesting story for her as well. And I think
Yeah.
that's what I think the future of the show is. Not that I would carry on with it, but that's the thing, is to do a little graceful handoff, passing of the torch, and then let the sort of teens into their 20 somethings kind of lead the way there.
I mean, it really does sound like you just described the intention behind Force Awakens through Rise of the Skywalker. You know,
Well, it wouldn't have been a bad thing had they done it right. It's
right,
not, in theory,
right.
it's not a bad idea, because you have to, if you're going to keep a franchise going, new characters, but you have to make the new characters compelling, which this show has done more so than, you know, than
Right.
Lucasfilm has their younger characters. So, so
100%.
it's all on how you do it. You know, you can make, you know, someone's Chihuahua like the most compelling character on a show if you write it intelligently enough or compellingly enough. You know, you can make a volleyball a compelling character in a movie. You know, so it all comes down to the creative behind it. You know, and the creative behind this is still good, but there's only so much you can milk an idea. So it's like we have to get to wrap up time. I think maybe others would disagree, and it'd be interesting to hear in the comments.
I agree with you 100%. So it's like twofold. I agree with you 100%. And it is funny that we are still invested. Like we're still in it. I'm excited for it. Now, this
because they haven't killed it. They haven't killed it yet. My whole thing is foreseeing like it can get there, you know, and it's like I don't, you know, having enjoyed the past few seasons, I just don't want to see it kind of end on a sour note, because they've done some good work, you know. It's like, but I think the best thing is you need a resolution at some point. I think it's better sooner than later, you know.
Right. They were the standout. I mean, they were the ones doing it right the whole time. So I give them a lot of grace. Like I have so much respect for them. And then I heard today that season 6 is going to be a little bit later. Like they're not going straight into that because they have another show they're working on. So
okay.
Time between 5 and 6. So like, you know, that could help.
Yeah, I think so too. You know, give people a little bit time to long for it again, and then just give us one more really great season with an intention. Like, you know, that's the thing. We'll see with this season whether, you know, it's actually going somewhere, or is it just a season that's kind of like a padding season. That's the thing I don't see either. Is like I want the season to feel like purposeful and not like it's just additional padding to kind of milk it to get to just one more season. So but we'll see. I mean, these guys, like I said, they've done good stuff. You know, I'm willing to obviously give them the benefit of the doubt. And starting next week, man, it's coming up soon, so we'll see.
Yeah, and again, like you're like you said it at the beginning, and it's so true. The trailer isn't always what the season looks like. Like they've been really good about that, where there's so many surprises. Like I can't tell you that like when Allie showed up, you know, but like I think overall I just enjoy it. When I'm there, I'm so happy to be there. It's just like, oh, do I have to drive 20 minutes out of my way? Well, while I'm there, I'm like, this is great. I love it here, you know? So it's like, I think it's that. I'm grateful for it. Like I don't mean to be a curmudgeon about it. I'm grateful for it.
Yeah, same here. So I guess we'll probably have a discussion at once we've seen it, and kind of talk back and see what we were right about, what we were wrong about. But for the time being, fingers crossed. And these are just our thoughts on where we think, you know, hopefully things will go or how they'll morph. But time will tell.
Yeah. And what are your thoughts, audience? Like, what do you guys think? We're excited to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, let us know, because we know a lot of people are invested in the show and really been in it the long haul. This fan base has continued to grow, so they've done a great job with that too. So yeah, those of you agree, disagree, let us know. If you liked our discussion, enjoyed it, please hit the like button. That definitely helps with the unknowable YouTube algorithms and helps us get seen and get in rotation a little bit more. Subscribe. We've done Cobra Kai content in the past, so you can check out those videos. We'll have a link below to those as well. And like I said, you know, it's the show's really more about our audience than us, so we'd love to hear from you.
And what episodes do you want us to do too, right? Like, because Bruce, like I love watching Bruce's rock episodes. Like they're so fascinating. And so like what episodes do you guys want us to know or to talk about? So we're here for you. I I got my review called out on the podcast that I listened to. So I was like, yeah, it's a good feeling. It's fun. So we'll call it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
All right.
Well, there we go. So another episode of R&B in the can.
In the can. Thank you all for watching. Thank you. We appreciate you.
Peace. Take care, everyone.